Thank God we got some, huh?
Much needed.
Much, much needed. I don't know if we're still waiting for Mr. Frost.
No. Mr. Frost is here. Hi, Manny.
Hello. Are we all ready, sir?
I believe we are, yes.
Okay, everybody's on board? Great, great, great. Well, let's have a call to order for the Virtual Community Services Committee meeting, January 19, 2021. Can we please have a roll call to determine quorum, please?
Councillor Manuel Martinez,
Present?
Mayor Pro Tem Dennis Tim Salazar,
Present.
Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez,
Also present.
Councillor Dorothy Didi Valdez.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great, great. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. The agenda is in front of you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Sure, second.
Oh, can we please have a roll call vote, or are there any questions on it before we do a vote? Seeing-
Councillor Manuel Martinez,
For the motion?
Councillor or Mayor Pro Tem Dennis Tim Salazar,
For the motion.
Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Councillor Dorothy Didi Valdez.
In favor of the motion.
Motion
Okay,
carries.
motion passes. We'll move on to public comments. Do we have anyone signed up or on for public comments, sir?
We do not.
Okay, we're gonna move on then to E, approval of community service minutes for the meeting of October 19, 2020. If everyone has had a chance to go over them.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the October 19th, 2020 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Go ahead.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, or any questions of the Community Services Committee meeting minutes prior to voting? Seeing no questions, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Chairman Manuel Martinez,
In favor?
Mayor Pro Tem Dennis Salazar,
For the motion.
Councillor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Councillor Dorothy Didi Valdez.
In favor.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Let's move on then to letter F, committee member comments. Councillor Peggy Martinez.
Thank you, Chairman Martinez. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the staff for the job that they're doing. I know that everybody has had to readjust how they do their jobs because of the pandemic, and we certainly appreciate everything that's going on at the city, and that the staff has been able to forge forward, especially those that are in the kitchen at the senior center and everybody involved in community services. As I got prepared for this meeting and I was thinking about different ways that the city of Espanola could possibly help our youth stay involved and entertained this summer, I was thinking of perhaps now at mid-year when we do our budget, we could possibly look for some money to do a program that would take the parks to the kids. So having a van filled with volleyball, soccer balls, soccer nets, water guns, lot of different things like that that would entertain kids in the parks on a schedule, and low-income areas, the 2 low-income areas, the park here, at Valdez, the park off of Vietnam Memorial, and of course, the park in Ranchitos. Possibly funding something like that so that we can take stuff out to the kids to keep them active and entertained throughout the summer, put it on a schedule of some kind, and see if we can't engage our kids to stay active and busy instead of always being in the house. Of course, it would involve safety procedures and protocols, a hand washing station, masks for all the children, temperature taking before they engage in any activities with any other children. And of course, activities that would allow them to have the social distancing. But I really feel like if we could do stuff like this for the kids this summer, I think now's the time to start planning for this. And I think it's something that we could possibly get covered down the road if more funding is to come on the CARES Act. So it's something to think about for community service, for our committee. And hopefully the rest of you are on board with some kind of a project like this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Martinez. Councilor Valdez.
Yes, I too, as Counselor Peggy Martinez, was thinking about what to do with the youth. I wasn't thinking that far as the summer, but I was thinking now that maybe we could have an essay writing contest on how I am surviving the pandemic, or some sort of title like that. And perhaps we could have first, second, and third place winners and give them some sort of prize. What do you think about that?
I think that would be a
That's awesome.
Great idea.
It would make them think about their coping skills on how they're surviving. I know that after testing positive myself for COVID, it really makes you think or rethink differently about your coping skills, even life in general. So this would be a good reflection, I think, if we really get a profound title on survival of the pandemic. So we could maybe think further on that. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Councilor Valdez. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to welcome Councilor Didi Valdez back. I'm so glad to have you, and I'm so glad to see, you're doing, somewhat better. Also, with that said, I would like to welcome everybody back to, a new year, 2021, hoping it's much better than 2020. But nonetheless, I feel our committee and staff have progressed forward, even though, we've had all these roadblocks in 2020. We've still been able to get a lot of progress done, and I look forward to much more progress as we're already maintaining into the 2021 year. Also, at this time, I would just like to thank our entire staff in community services for doing a great job, and for being able to overcome a lot of obstacles that that's been thrown at the city unexpected, and just trying to make do with what we have. But of course, we're able to do that, of course, helping our constituents, and then of course helping one another. So I just like to say thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, councilors, for your comments. Announced from matters from the chair. I just want to echo what you guys have said. Thank you to the staff for everything that they've done. This has been a challenging year that they've had, and I think they've overcome it very well in all aspects of community service. Especially, I know this has been hard because we really weren't able to congregate and have events like we normally are used to throughout the year. And hopefully this is a teaching lesson. Hopefully we never have to go through it again, but at least we'll be more prepared, I think, if that's the case that we ever have to do this. But I do like the ideas that both Councilor Martinez and Councilor Valdez have. We have to start looking to the future. We don't know how long we're still going to have some social distancing, when events are going to come back to normal standards that we're used to. So I think it's very important with us as a community services committee to see what we can do to help um, the youth in the valley, the elderly in the valley, and see what we can do to create some events, whether they're virtually, essay writing, as Councilor Valdez said, or looking forward towards the summer. If restrictions are lifted and we're able to meet, I think it's a great idea to keep the kids busy with a bunch of summer activities. I think that's a great idea, especially if it's done. It can be done to a point to where so many kids can meet on certain days, so that way you're alternating and you're not having too many at one time. And I think that's something we could also get a lot of volunteers that would be willing to help with something like that. So Councilor Martinez, I think that's a great idea. Councilor Valdez, hey, there's nothing like the mind working, and I'm sure the kids have a lot to write about right now with everything that's gone on. And I think it also be some healing for a lot of them for what they're going through. And I think it would be great for them to do something like that. Writing in a journal is something I know they've always said that's good to do. So putting it in an essay would be awesome, especially to be able to give them a prize and promote it in some fashion of when that would come to play. So I think that those are all great ideas. Just so you know, the Espanola Valley Arts Festival has been looking at doing virtual art contests with the youth and seeing how we're going to be able to do that throughout the year instead of waiting for September. We don't know what things are going to be like then, but we don't want to miss out as we did last year. So, that's also something coming into play. I think if we can contact some of the other nonprofits that have different types of festivities to see how we can continue them, even if it's virtually or even if it's with just a few people, and virtually live events over the internet, stuff like that, just so that we can continue different type of projects and so that they know that something is still going on in Espanola even through this pandemic. And I think we can do that. I also want to thank of course the staff and Mr. Frost. I'm hearing a lot of good things about you, sir, from different people in the community. I just want you to know that. And the way they put it to me was we hit it spot on hiring you. So I just want to let you know that. So you're doing a great job. And I know that right now you've been working on that project there by Ranchitos Park, cleaning up the neighboring properties. And I just want you to know that your efforts are being noticed, and people do appreciate it, sir. So thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll move on to recommendations to items to full council. And we have a facility build letter of intent for ADA project at the senior center. Mr. Frost.
Yes. So as everyone knows, we have secured funding to do an ADA compliance revamping of the front parking lot at the senior center. We are in phase 1 of that, and facility build was selected to perform that work. One of the things, and we have Mr. Logan Stock with us tonight. We'll invite him to explain it a little bit better here in just a second. But as an overview, when facility comes in and does a design build project like this, they want to know if they commit the money that's involved in the engineering portion of this, that we're not going to switch horses in midstream, so to speak, and leave them in a lurch for the cash they laid out on the engineering portion only. So that's basically what the letter of intent is all about. If you can all see it, would you like me to try and put it up on the screen? I'm not a very good Zoom guy, but I think I can try it. So I want to go to share screen. Hit screen 2. I'll hit share. Okay. Okay, so okay, and so there we have it. And basically, well, I can just read it. It says the owner and design builder intend to negotiate in good faith a design build construction contract based upon the scope of work. This will require completing project site investigation and design in order to establish a guaranteed maximum price. This is how that company works, and others as well. And then it just goes on and explains the need for them to sort of be covered in the event that they do expend this money on engineering. But in speaking with Mr. Stock this morning, he had another approach that he wanted to present to the council. And again, this is all up for discussion right now. So maybe I could go ahead and invite Mr. Stock to tell us all what you were kind of explaining to me this morning.
Yes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Is everybody hearing me clearly?
Yes, go ahead,
Yeah.
sir.
Perfect. Thank you all for your guys' time this evening. So as Mr. Scott was talking about there, we do have this letter of intent. But with this, we kind of like to steer this another direction. And as Mr. Scott was saying, up front, we're going to have to hire an engineer and pay a lot of potential cost up front. So another offer we are really wanting to lean towards is more or less just a proposal up front for hiring the engineer. And the purpose of needing to hire this engineer is too many uncertainties with that parking lot and the drainage that is currently happening in that parking lot. You guys are getting flooding issues, and then I heard some possible slips, trips, and falls for your guys' staff and employees. So until we really get an engineer to give us a good design, and then we can get you guys a very accurate price for the proposal. So what we would like to do is just give you guys a proposal for the engineering cost. And as long as that meets your guys' needs and budgets, we can get the engineer to get all the topographical surveying done and present us with that design. And then we can go into a second pricing of the actual construction work to get the project completed.
Okay. May I add to that?
Sure.
So the city does have an engineer, an engineering firm under contract. We would be happy to entertain a second proposal and then see which one works out best for us. But as we go into the discussion now, just do bear in mind that we do have a contract engineer.
Oh, that would be excellent. So with that, I did not know that you guys had that. Will you even need our design then, or will you guys be able to procure that engineer drawings through your source then?
This is sort of coming down even as we speak. I wouldn't mind seeing a cost proposal, to be honest with you, just so we could compare apples to apples and see where it all shakes out at. I don't know how busy our engineer is. I do know that we have other projects that we're employing them at. It could be that it works out for us in a timelier and more economical fashion to use yours. We just need to see. So if it's not too much to ask, my personal suggestion, of course, council or this committee will direct you further, but my personal thought is I wouldn't mind seeing a proposal by your engineer.
Okay.
Councilors, do you have any questions?
I do.
Go right ahead, Councilor Martinez.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Foss, and thank you to the gentleman for Facility Bill. I missed your name. Could you repeat your name for me, please?
My name is Logan Stock, Logan, and then Stock.
So, Mr. Stock, Facility Bill doesn't have an engineer on staff, correct?
Correct. We do not have an engineer on staff, but we work with numerous engineers around the states to meet our clients' needs as we do work throughout the whole state. Right.
So the issue for me is you're sort of switching balls in the middle of the game. The way that it's presented on the agenda is a letter of intent for design build. to have this opportunity to do the survey and the civil engineering for the project. And like Mr. Frost stated, we do have an engineer firm on contract for the city of Espanola. And I really feel like it's important for the city of Espanola to do their darndest in trying to get the best possible pricing on different situations. So I feel like it's important to, if we need engineering, either go with our engineer or put out a complete scope of work for what we're looking for. And then if one of your companies is available or amicable to that, they can bid on that contract portion of the engineering. And the city can then move forth with whatever they figure is the best way to go on the engineering part of it. And then on the contract part of it, the same thing. I think it's important for us to try and get the best deal on behalf of the public. So I think it's very important to have cost estimates from an engineering firm before you go into an agreement to build anything. I think you need to know what something like that is going to cost you, or what a fair price on the market in today's market would be. So I feel like it's very important for the city of Espanola to create the scope of work for what we're looking for as far as the engineering goes. And then once the scope of work has been created, then go out to procurement or go out to our engineering firm on contract and see what they believe that project is valued at, and then move forward from there. But we certainly appreciate your time and energy and interest in doing work in our community.
I need to step in here. This is Cameron Kilcup. I'm actually one of the owners of Facility Build. And I think we're off base a little bit here. We actually didn't want to do a letter of intent, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how we operate. And speaking of, we've done a couple projects with City of Espanola, and we're excited to do a few more with Jeff Sargent on the other side. And we normally do what is called design build, where we actually design everything up front, and then we price it out, and then we build it. So it's a streamlined approach. Studies have shown that it saves about 10% in costs, and about 33% costs are time savings, which is also can save money for everybody. This particular project's a little interesting. Normally what we would do is we would actually just front all the costs up front for this project, and then build it into our construction proposal. Now, we've been advised that this project actually might be a little higher on the engineering side for cost. And so we just can't front that kind of money up front on a project like this. So that's why we're bringing up this other option that Logan mentioned to you.
Yeah,
Now,
I think because of that, that's another reason why it's important for the city of Espanola to figure out what the contracting portion of this contract is going to be, and create the proposal or speak to the contract engineer firm, which is Wilson and Company.
Yeah, we've worked with them before.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then from that point, then we'll have a better scope on as far as what the job is, as far as costs go. And it provides us with an opportunity to be competitive and get the best deal that we can get for the constituents.
I totally understand that you guys
Yeah.
have to do that, and I respect
Right.
that. We've shown through our entire lineage of being a company over 20 years now that we are the best bang for the buck, and that's why we have so many clients that continue to use us. So I understand what you guys have to do. If you want to go that route, obviously go that route. I would caution you on certain areas, but we can't guarantee that if this does go out to bid, that we can bid it maybe just whenever it comes out, because we don't have control of the schedule at that point. We don't have control of the drawing schedule and things like that. So we offer a full package. It sounds to me like you guys want to piecemeal this out into a traditional procurement, and I understand, again, I respect that. So if that's the case, then we'll probably just back out at this point and continue to work on our other projects that we have going on with you.
This is Scott, if I may. A couple of quick things. One is our engineer is not Wilson. It's actually Souter Miller, which is another well-known entity. So there's
I'm
no
sorry, you're correct, Scott. It's my mistake.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you
no,
for the
no worries. No worries at all. And sure. So we've entered into an agreement with Facility Build for phase one, which we had to encumber some of those funds and get started. And that's the primary beginning portion, which is going to be some concrete work up front and the ADA signage, striping, fixing that sidewalk, etc. And then so the engineering work. Correct me if I'm wrong, Logan, was going to be prior to phase 2 and 3, as you and I had talked about it, which included paving around behind the building and correcting those drainage issues and so forth. And that's absolutely fine. What we could do, what I would like to suggest, if everyone's okay with it, is kind of just pause right here. And instead of moving it forward to council, we don't need to make the decision tonight, but I'd like to just put it on pause, get back with you, Logan, discuss what the scope of work for the engineer would be, and then I can proceed with working with our engineer. And I know it's going to require, what's the word? A request for qualifications, I guess, or would it be a request for a proposal? It's going to be an RFP or an RFQ, one or the other, for this engineering work. And we could have ours, Souter Miller, and then 2 more of Facility Build's choice really give us a price quote for the rest of the project going forward. Does that seem like a reasonable approach?
Everything except for Facility Build's choice. I think that you cannot, when it's public money like that, you have to be very fair in the opportunity for anybody to have an opportunity to bid it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you just can't
Correct.
pick who you want to bid the job. That's the reason that it's important for the city of Espanola to come up with the scope of work. It's our job to come up with that scope of work. Whatever it is that we want done, that's our job to figure it out, put that scope of work up, and then figure it out from that point.
You're correct, Councilor. I misspoke. I said Facility Build's choice. What I meant when I said request for proposal or request for qualifications, I meant to the general public. So it would be one contender for that would definitely be our own city engineer, and then 2 others. And strike where I said Facility Build. I didn't mean to include that on the front of that sentence.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to say something, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to get a little bit further of Scott Frost's recommendation, along with our city manager, Javier Martinez, what recommendation they would give to this current discussion action item.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Valdez?
Yes, I'd like to hear what they have to say also. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This is Javier Martinez. So yes, I'll definitely chime in here in regards to this. So I believe that Facility Build is a CES contractor. I know that we've used them in the past in regards to do some work for the city, as the gentleman said earlier. In procurement, we sometimes use CES contracts to expedite when we have some time-sensitive items, when we have to use certain funds at a certain time. I'm not too sure as to what the time frame is on using this aging and long-term funding of $150,000 with the actual senior center, but I believe it's maybe a little over a year. So if, at the request or the committee's pleasure, we can most definitely put this to RFP to get the most competitive bid to move forward. Again, this is a CES contractor, and a lot of times that's why municipalities or government agencies have this ability to use these entities to expedite some projects. And for the most part, they do come in at a cheaper rate because they are under CES contract. But again, like I say, it's just up to the pleasure of the committee. If we want to proceed to RFP, that is definitely an option that we can proceed with. You know, just making sure that we have the funding available, and the main thing is that we encumber at least 5% to hold on to this funding and then to proceed forward. But I can check with Ms. Diane Hawkes, our grants manager, to see what our timeline is in regards to using up these funding. But I believe that we have plenty of time to proceed on the RFP portion of it.
Councilor Dennis, Jim?
Thank you, Chairman Martinez. I think City Manager Javier Martinez pretty much answered my question, so I'm just kind of contemplating in my head. Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Martinez?
I just have some big concerns about creating a monopoly for one company. Public money should be procured fair to all entities in the area, should have an opportunity to work for the city of Espanola. And when you do a job like this and you bid it out, you ensure on behalf of the public that you're getting the very best deal. There's many CES contractors. There's even some from the Espanola Valley on the CES. So I really feel like it's important for us to do our due diligence in following the procurement process that the state of New Mexico requires, in not giving any one company a monopoly at getting public money, especially the city of Espanola. And two, it provides us with a way to get the best deal, and the way to do that is through procurement process and doing it the way that the way that I spoke of in the last meeting, with getting a cost estimate from an engineering firm. That way we have an idea of what this project should cost us. If you have one company come in, pick the engineer, bid it out, do everything with no other competitive bid, how do you know that you're getting the best price that you could get for the project? You don't. So I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I really feel like it's very important to think about how we are procuring projects and how important it is for us to be good stewards of the public's money. It's very important to, I mean, if you buy things in your home, you look for the very best deal you can get for your family. And the same thing goes with how we do this business at the city. When we're going to do a project, we figure out what project we need, and then we get the very best deal that we can get on behalf of the public. That's the way this has to happen, I believe. Now, you know, people could disagree with me and say it's a shortcut or whatever, but I really believe that if we're going to do this right, it has to go through a procurement process.
If I may.
Go right ahead, sir.
So Councilor Martinez is absolutely right. What we're talking about tonight, though, at the moment, is less to do with the big picture and all of the construction that needs to be done, and specifically procuring an engineer so that they can basically tell us how the rest of the project will look. And I think what my thoughts is that for the moment, right now, to move forward, we need to, at the committee's pleasure, decide to get with the city's engineer, Souder Miller, and then we can procure by the procurement process at least, well, however many more are interested in bidding on it after we've written a scope and they're doing that. Then we can compare apples to apples here and see which engineering firm out there, wherever it might be, will give us the best price for designing the project as it needs to be designed. And then once we have that in hand, then we move on to the rest of the process, which is going to be, of course, putting it out to bid and securing a contractor. And we're talking about the bigger portion of the project, which is the rest of the paving that we talked about, going around behind the building, filling in the pool and making that into a parking lot, correcting the drain and so forth. But right now, just so as to not get too far out into the weeds, what we really need to decide is how we're going to pick an engineer. And it seems like, as Councilor Martinez pointed out, the best way for us to do that is RFQ, an engineer, and get them on board, and then we can figure out the rest once they've told us what they believe needs to happen. And it's true, there's some complicated. I feel like there's going to be some unknowns in the form of the drainage on that parking lot, because we have as-built or we have design plans actually that show drainage going off into those retaining ponds across the fence. And that's not really working properly. And so that's going to be the great unknown right there. And I'm sure that's why Facility Build has decided to step back and take a little breather and look at this a little closer, because we don't know what we're going to uncover when it comes to correcting the drainage issues. But right now, what we need to do is agree to on a process for selecting an engineer, and then do that.
Can I speak up? This is Cameron from Facility Build.
Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best course for what you all are looking for right now. I do have to stand up for ourselves a little bit. I mean, the term monopoly was used, which is very far from the truth in this instance. We've only done one project in the last year for City of Espanola. So we don't believe it's a monopoly at all. In fact, we believe what we offer saves our clients a lot of money and a lot of time on the other end. So I totally understand why you want to move forward in a different direction on this one. And of course, we respect that. But we do offer a really, really incredible service. And we have clients all over the state who love it. And it's legal. It's part of the procurement code, doing this design build system through an on-call contract like CES for the statewide price agreement. So everything we do is above board. One of the things we like to do too is offer an incredible amount of transparency. So we will offer the ability to look at all of our costs. You can look deep dive into our proposals to see where every dollar is going. I mean, we offer this to every client, and some of them really do. They want to know where every dollar is, and we walk them through it. We show them subcontractor quotes. We show them engineer quotes. They oftentimes even get to pick which ones they want to use after we get done showing them. So I understand, that we're going to be moving away from this project and you all are going a different direction, and I respect that. But, we are a very valid company who's been doing this a long time, and I don't want any one of you, the counselors, anyone else here to think otherwise.
Let me clarify that my statement, Chairman Martinez, please.
Go right ahead, ma'am.
So, in fairness to the company, it's really not him or the company that's creating a monopoly. It's if you make the statement that you're going to allow that company to pick the engineer, then that's what I was talking about, creating a monopoly. That's the reason I use that word, so that public money should be open and fair to anybody that wants to bid it. And if you believe that your company can do the job for the best price, when it goes out to RFP, absolutely, we want you to bid. If you think you can give our people the best price, we want you there.
I totally understand that. Yeah, that's a good point. With all due respect, we actually didn't say that we would be picking, that word didn't come from us, that we'd be picking our engineer. We do things in a three bid type of scenario too, where we'd actually, if we were in charge of this, we would go solicit this to numerous engineers, and we would sit down with the client, in case this you guys, and show you the engineer costs, which one, and we'd all decide together which one we think would be the best fit going forward. What we do here at Facility Build is offer like a very well-rounded approach, where it's a committee approach where everyone has a say, where we're holding hands the entire time. And what we find in the traditional construction world is there's a lot of blaming between engineers and architects and clients, and I'm sure you've got many horror stories. So we offer an alternative, and we just finished up a project, or finishing project for you all, a park project, and we designed it and we did it this way, and it was very successful. And I'm pretty sure that if Jeff was here, he would tell you that the same thing. So we really love working with you guys. I came to a meeting about a year ago before the pandemic started, and I was very, very impressed with all of you and everything you're doing in Española. So we want to continue the relationship with you. If it's not on this project, you know, maybe we can find a better fit going forward somewhere else.
Mr. Frost. I think I'd like to also see, before we move forward, what the time frame is on this for this figure of money that we need to utilize, because we also need to see if our engineer is going to have the time to do it in a timely manner, or if this is the right fit for us when it comes to making sure this thing gets done on a timely manner. City Manager, yeah, you stated that you could get with Diane to see what that time frame is.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that absolutely. I will get with our grants manager because she has all that information available to her in regards to each grant or capital outlay funds and the expiration or the time that these funds have to be utilized. So I can get that information and pass it to either Scott to relate to you for the next committee, or I can just send it via email tomorrow.
Either one, sir. You could send it to everyone on the committee so that we're completely aware of the time frame. Because I would hate for us to be rushing with this at the last minute, because we're, having to utilize or trying to utilize our engineering firm or should I say, in the case that they might be overwhelmed with other projects, and I just want to make sure that we're on a good time frame with this. Can we go ahead and move this to our next meeting, sir? Or did you want to make some sort of action tonight, Mr. Frost?
No, I would prefer to just put it on pause and gather a little bit more information. Speaking to the time frame, we did have a deadline coming up to encumber. I don't remember the percentage, but there was a percentage of that initial grant, the initial 150,000, that had to be encumbered in order to not lose it, and we did that. So then, that being said, the rest of phase one is probably not in jeopardy on the timeline, but the rest of it going forward and the engineering, that's what you said, Chairman Martinez, is correct. We don't want to find ourselves with our back against the wall at a later date down the road. So we'll work on this. City Manager Martinez will get with Diane tomorrow, and I know that he and I will be in communication, and we can definitely have more information at our next Community Services Committee meeting.
That would be great. In fact, let's also get Jeff in on it. I'd like to hear also what he has to say as far as utilizing facility build as well.
Oh, very good. We'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Just want to say, appreciate you guys having us. These are always very informative meetings, and yeah, just let us know what you all choose or what you want to do, and we will be happy either way.
We appreciate you too, and appreciate that you're coming on and willing to do some work here in the Española Valley. Thank you guys so much, and I hope that we can do some work together.
Perfect.
Of course. Stay safe up there.
Thank you. You too as well.
All right. Bye now.
Any other comments, councilors? Oh, okay. We'll move on to department reports. Community Services overview with Mr. Frost.
Thank you, Chairman Martinez. Yes, so the Community Services Department, you have my report hyperlinked on there, and we can just go over some of the highlights. As you know, for the last couple of months, we've been working on getting a campaign going working towards addressing, and I know it's been addressed in the past, but readdressing and maybe adding renewed vigor to the crisis of the used needles that we have in our city. And since the last time we've talked, I just wanted to address the committee. I've been in contact with a group in the with Highlands University, and I think I mentioned that at our last meeting, but I've talked to them since then. They're wanting to prevent themselves from getting into a situation similar to what we already have, and so I've worked with them, only phone meetings, but sort of a think tank. I also went ahead and I spoke with Tabitha Clay. She's a very vocal member of the press, and I asked her what she thought would be an effective means. And so I visited with various players in this, and some of the things that I think, some good ideas that have come out of my discussions. One of which is the need to relocate the needle boxes to areas where they're likely to be used. It was brought to my attention that the two big needle boxes that we have, the one in Valdez Park and the one in Ranchitos, they're great, and we certainly don't want them to go away. But because of their location, they tend to become trash receptacles in general. In fact, we saw Mr. Martinez, City Manager Martinez, and myself were at Ranchitos on Friday, and we watched a city employee pick up a piece of regular trash and dump it in the needle box. So we need to do some more education on those needle boxes, what they're specifically for, and then try to get more of them in areas where they're more likely to be used by the individuals. I do have an open communication with the Mountain Center, and I haven't launched the campaign with the posters that I showed you a couple of months ago or anything just yet. It's a little, I feel with the COVID virus happening right now, I don't want it to launch and lose effect because of everything else that's going on. So we're gearing up for that. I have a lot of hopes that the county will switch over into the yellow zone soon, per the governor. And when that happens, then we can look for considerable more activity on that front. Things that are planned is placing those posters that this committee approved in high visibility areas, definitely getting them out to all of our parks and other public places. I am looking for a means of getting more needle sharps containers and getting them in places where they will do more good. So that's kind of where we're at with the needle situation. Local businesses have mentioned, this comes to me from Ms. Clay, and I haven't gone back and checked with the people who she mentioned, but there seems to be some cooperation throughout the city whereby local businesses would like to participate in this program and even go so far. One business said they would even go so far as to offer a bounty, 10 cents per needle or something like that, for needles that were collected and disposed of properly. So there's a plenty of goodwill out there. I believe that when we really start working on this in a uniform and focused manner, we'll be able to accomplish some good in that area. Point number 2, the cleanup of the Ranchitos property. We were scheduled to do that prior to the holidays, and then we thought about it. The COVID virus pandemic continues to be a factor in decision making there. It's just probably not in the best interest of anyone to disrupt that little community that is living there and get them scattered out throughout the community. They're the ones who are least likely to use appropriate PPE and so on and so forth. It just seems like as much as the neighborhood wants something to be done, we need to proceed with caution and forethought on that. Now we are proceeding. City Manager Martinez did secure permission from the prior administration at the Pueblo, Oke Owinga, for us to go in there. And because of that, I was able, with Mr. Hubler, with his help, I was able to get a roll-off dumpster placed there. I've talked with the Parks Department about the hows and whys of actually going out there and cleaning up the site. We can do that in phases. One of the things that was of concern was all the vegetation. I mean, there was a cleanup there a couple of years ago, and it knocked down all the Chinese elms or Siberian elms, and then nothing happened. And so the shoots grew up in all that dry brush and really made a double bad problem. And so we're going to have an ongoing process of cleaning those up. But what can be done in the short term, and will, go a long ways towards alleviating the problem, is getting rid of the dwellings, getting rid of the trash and the man-made stuff there. And we do need to do something about the little forest that exists there, because that's what seems to attract individuals living in a tent, is having those trees, especially when they're fully leafed out in the summer. So it's not going to be a super quick fix, but the initial cleanup, we've got cooperation from the GSD department, the streets and parks, tractors with buckets and manpower to go out and clean up. So when we decide to actually launch, it'll be fairly quick. I am leaning towards waiting until such time as the county at least reaches that yellow level. I think that's probably going to be the best on several different fronts. But I believe that's coming rapidly. And then one thing we needed to do was secure the blessing of the new administration out there at the Pueblo, which City Manager Martinez did as of today. We got confirmation from their natural resources manager that the Pueblo remains committed to allowing us to do this thing. So that was huge. That was a big part of the reason for waiting after the first of the year. Was we wanted to make sure that we still had the blessing of the Pueblo to access their land. And today we got that email. So we're back in the game. I've been working with Ralph Martinez of the Pathway Shelter to determine the best way to go about doing this. They are not going to have enough places for everybody who's likely to be displaced, but they can help with some. And again, if the county is in the yellow zone, that opens up more beds at that shelter. So we're working hand in hand with the right people. And when we finally do go out there and clean up, it's going to be with everything having been considered, and we're working for the best of everyone as much as it's possible. I will say that I continue to get phone calls from neighbors of that area frequently, and I'm just telling them it's coming, but we want to do this right. We don't want to jump in and do something that's going to give us a black eye, so to speak. So all I can tell you about that is what I just did. It's still going to happen. We're kind of holding off on getting a few more T's crossed and a few more I's dotted. A big one being what happened today with the Pueblo granting us renewed commitment for access. And then finally, as was evidenced by our earlier conversation, our construction projects are moving forward. We do have Vanessa's Hideaway has a nice new equipment in there, and they went in and installed a border, and they're just about wrapping that up. Actually, I went down to the park earlier before our meeting, and I saw a bucket truck down there. It looked like they were working on power lines. I don't know what that particular aspect of the project was, but that's coming along nicely. We've got all the sidewalks done. Jeff and his department did a great job in getting a lot of that construction work done. Ranchitos Park, we do have DFA funding, and the individual that is in charge of that at DFA is stepping aside. So we're getting a new contact person there. We'll be getting more information there, but we do have a project coming out there. And then of course the ADA project at the senior center is ongoing, and we're clear to at least begin the first portion of that. So open to questions.
Councilor Martinez. Any questions, ma'am?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Salazar?
None at this time. Thank you, Chairman.
Councilor Valdez?
I'm just glad to hear that we've got confirmation from the new administration from the Pueblo. That's really big news, so we can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I completely agree with you. I was hoping that that was already taken care of. So thank you, and thank the new administration there at Okinawenga. And thank you for moving forward on that, Mr. Frost. But it is important that we do stay safe and healthy. So I'm glad that you're waiting on hoping that color comes down to yellow before moving forward on this project. But it's good to see that all the everything's coming together. How do you say it? Yeah, everything's coming together, ready for the day that you're able to get that done, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's go ahead and move on to Espanola Public Library. Ms. Sherry Aragon.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Doing well, thank you. Okay, for December, of course, we're closed and everything. Library staff, again, is still working on shelf reading and weeding a lot of the sections of the library. We've taken out some of the books that are older and the spines are broken or the pages have all turned yellow. So we're taking out some of those books that are getting older. Checking the Dropbox and checking in all the material that's still coming in. We do still have some material that's coming in. A lot of people that were having late fees and stuff, we asked if we could, just have them bring them in and, we wouldn't charge them the late fee. The library staff is also doing a lot of free webinars that are from the New Mexico State Library. They have a professional development program, and a lot of these webinars are free, and there's something going on every month from the state library. So we're doing a lot of the webinars that are there, and a lot of them have done classes, so they get continuing education credits for those. The one that has done it a lot is Lucy Pena, who is our cataloger, and she's done a lot of the classes. We also have been helping some of the other city departments that need help. Since we're here, we can go out and do that. For December, since we closed, we did some curbside grab and go crafts, and the total that we gave out in December was 157 bags of crafts projects that people came in and picked up. Of course, we were doing it curbside. Nobody was coming into the library, so that kept us busy throughout December. And starting this month, starting tomorrow, we are going to be handing out New Mexico State tax forms. We've had those ones in already as of last week. So this week we're going to be giving them out every Wednesdays from now on until, I guess, tax time is over. It'll be every Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and in the afternoon from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And we'll be handing those outside at curbside so people can come in. And we've already had a lot of people calling in for those. The only thing we do not have right now is the federal tax forms. I have no idea when those ones will be coming in, but hopefully once they get in, and we will be giving them out again. As you can see, our statistics, total circulations, these are the books that have come in or items that have come in within December. The library tours and programs, that's actually how many bags of crafts we gave out, how many people were in attendance for picking up those bags. And of course, reference questions, people are constantly calling in, just asking small, details of, what's the exchange rate for currency in the Philippines or something, which is a really strange question, but we got it, and they were happy with your answer. Of course, our revenue compared to last year is zero because we're, not making anything right now. We're not letting anybody in. But again, we're still sanitizing and, cleaning everything up and just, doing a lot of checking in. And we have a lot of mail that's coming in. Of course, the newspapers and magazines and everything else that comes in, those ones are still being checked in and everything. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
You said you were discarding old books. What are you doing with them? Are you actually throwing them away, or are you putting them in a box and maybe the community can go choose some books? Just wondering what you're doing with those books.
A lot of the books we give, if they're still in good condition, we give them to the friends of the library and they put them in their bookstore. They haven't been open, but they've been taking in a lot of our books that we've been deleting. And we've actually probably starting next month, we're going to start putting some more outside and people can come in and pick those up for free. And of course, we're not, taking any of those ones back or anything. And we are still not taking any donations right now for any kind of books or anything else right now. But yeah, we're not just throwing them in the trash. They're getting put out there and people are taking them because they can't come into the library and check out a book. So this is another way of their relief of coming in and getting a book.
Very good. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
have a question also, Chairman Martina. Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you,
Go
Counselor.
right ahead, Counselor. We can hear you.
Okay. I was just curious if the library staff is going to do a grab and go project on the Valentine's projects, art projects of any kind.
Yes, they are. They are actually working on different projects right now. I currently have probably about 6 projects that they're working on right now. So we'll be putting those ones and posting them up pretty soon. A lot of the information will go on the marquee, and of course, a lot of the information will be on social media. And we try to get a lot of it out through Kedise and everything. But there is a lot of crafts that they're working on right now for Valentine's Day and a lot of other book projects that they'll be doing.
Awesome. That's really cool. I appreciate you and the staff, Sherry.
Thank you very much, Counselor.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Ms. Sherry. Thank you for everything you're doing.
You're welcome, Chairman. Thank you very much.
Let's move on to Lucero Center Recreational Facility with Ms. Maria Sandoval.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you, Cherry, goodness sakes, Councilor Manny Martinez, I'm sorry. Let's see. I know that as far as recreation, there's hardly nothing really going on. Obviously, as Ms. Sherry mentioned in regards to the revenue, zero pretty much. Nonetheless, after my coming back, as most of you perhaps knew that I was out for almost an entire month and then some. But coming back with more of an open mind in regards to creating activities. And I heard you, Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez, in regards to the activities that you have in mind. And of course, I'm hopeful to basically go ahead with the mini Olympics for this particular year in August. And so I'm pretty hopeful and I'm excited about that. Granted that this thing, kind of gives us a little more leeway as far as the pandemic is concerned. as you know, the recreation department here, we are closed. However, I am hopeful to basically open up at least 25% as we used to before closing down again due to our county being on the red zone. As we pretty much know, the rise in regards to health issues, and of course, among other particular issues that are happening. But nonetheless, health comes first. We are working as far as staggered schedules. Our staff, even though we're down to 4, we seem to have the fort well taken care of here. And of course, giving us more time in order to look at every sort of nook and cranny and see it for what it is and try to improve on it. Obviously nothing to do with reconstruction, because we don't necessarily know how to do that, except probably for painting or putting up a nail or a screw somewhere. I'm very happy with the staff while I was gone, as far as the head lifeguard, part-time lifeguard, and then of course my right-hand person, my assistant, my administrative assistant, Yvonne Velasco, who basically held the fort as well. The fitness room, which is also known as a weight room, it is being currently used by our police and fire department, and then of course other employees during the day or even overnight, and which is a good thing, for them, to say the least. I am in contact with other individuals, such as Mr. Tomas Duran, who is a lifeguard instructor for the College of Santa Fe, and crossing fingers that we can definitely try to get more lifeguards. But essentially, he'll help us out in getting them certified. Other than that, that's pretty much all. Any questions?
Any questions, counselors?
I have a question. First of all, I didn't realize that you were out. I'm hoping that it wasn't due to some type of family emergency or your health. But I'm happy that you're back and that the staff was able to sustain everything while you were out. That says a lot about your leadership. When your staff can continue, it's because there's been a great example. So thank you for that. I don't know exactly what this pandemic is going to do and how long it's going to take for our community to have the vaccination and things like that. But I am definitely interested in trying to look for ways to engage our students, and also the idea that Counselor Didi had. I really like to see if the library would be interested in maybe sponsoring that essay. And I think we could come up with some prizes from this committee. We could figure out a way to get some prizes donated to that effort. So I would like to see those two things happen, even if we just did a small schedule at first and stuff with whatever equipment we have, but then looking forward to possibly in the summer doing some bigger schedules with trying to engage the youth. I don't know if all of you know or not, but I'm a prodigy of the Lucero Center. The Lucero Center saved my life, and I really feel like entertaining kids and keeping them busy, especially in the summertime, is very important. And I think it helps them to develop and to learn how to problem solve in their own minds and to become strong adults. So I'm hopeful that you guys get behind this initiative to try and do something like this for the youth of our community. I think it would be a really good investment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors, any other comments?
Yes, I just would like to piggyback on what Counselor Martinez was saying. our youth needs to be occupied and not just inside the house like they have been for the last almost year since the pandemic began. We need to get our youth outdoors, running, jumping, some organized play or sports that they will just start moving physically. So we have to brainstorm and come up with ways to do it safely and really get them out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to say a little bit more in regards to what you just mentioned, Councilor Valdez. Some of the ideas that I do have are pretty much virtual, and they are in regards to ideas of what some of our other tribal members of other communities are doing, and I'm hopeful that this pretty much would work, and this is in regards to doing exercises at home virtually. And of course, I'm working on the specifics as to what do they need to do. For instance, one of them is in regards to, doing either push-ups or sit-ups, and of course, using props, and of course, some sort of background music. And the logistics would have to necessarily be, how many. It's more like, doing the exercise and having fun doing it at the same time with the props and whatever it is that they have around the house, whether it be in the toilet, to say the least. But those are some of the ideas, and of course, I'm working on those particular logistics, so that people can get interested. And due to our, quote unquote, not being able to give back, but I think that bragging rights are always a plus, and so that could possibly be one of those. If there are prizes, then definitely I'll come up with something, or if we can, or some of you can shoot up some ideas as to do that as far as prizes are concerned, if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments?
Chairman Martinez?
Yes.
I just would like to say that for Councilor Martinez and Councilor Valdez, the library can take on the essay writing contest. We can go ahead and see what we can do and maybe get some ideas together, and I will email some of those ideas out to you and see what the library has come up with. And again, we can work on getting prizes for those, and maybe not only just for the children, but maybe for the adults also. But we can have the library start working on that.
I think that sounds great. An essay, story, poems. I think those are all great ideas. Perhaps we can reach out to the Espanola Public Schools, and maybe they can format that in some of their Zoom teaching that they're doing right now with their students to get the word out to them as well.
Yeah.
Councilor Martinez?
Yes.
Councilor Martinez, did you have something to say, ma'am?
I just said, that's really awesome. I love that idea, and I'll do what I can to see if we can come up with some donations for that situation also. That would be really cool. So thank you so much. Let's see if we could do different, maybe age groups, and maybe come up with some very, very nice prizes for these students. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sandoval, have you heard anything? I know that we're still in the midst of this pandemic and the vaccines barely came out. But is there any word that you're hearing as far as come the summertime, if we're going to be looking at Little League or any type of organized sports, EVCA, that's going to be allowed during the summer, or are they already looking at canceling such programs this coming summer, or is it still kind of up in the air, ma'am?
Right now, it's still up in the air. I know that Little League definitely usually touch bases with us during February in regards to registering. But right now, it's still up in the air. We don't know. And then EVCA, that pretty much doesn't start until I would say August, September. So that's not an issue there. However, we do cooperate as well with teams that are like traveling teams. And for the most part, they're pretty much year round. And right now they're on hold. So that's where we're at this point.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the Beatriz Martinez Senior Center with Dora Terrazas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council. First and foremost, before I start with my report, I want to say thank you to the recreation staff who have been very helpful in helping us in the kitchen now that they've been on staggered schedules and have been closed, along with the library staff have come to help us when we need that help. So I want to say thank you, Maria, for allowing them, and Sherry. And they're very good employees and very great help to us. As you can see, our report here, aside that we have closed our facility to the public, we continue to give the curbside meals, and our revenue has gone up from last year. From December in 2019, the revenue was $2,487.25. This year we have $3,077.75. So a little bit of a jump there. We do have a downfall on the Family Learning Center contract. Because of the COVID, they too took a drop in their enrollment. Last year, we made $1,922 profit in the revenue refund for the meals that we get from them. This year, and it was 563. So from the 30 kids that they had, they're down to the daily count of between 8 and 12. So it was a big drop there for us as well. We do continue to rent for the Mesa to Mesa. The Zumba that we had as well has come to a halt as well because of the COVID. We have terminated the lease for the AA rental that we have, the office and the rental. Due to the COVID, they are unable to continue their meetings there. So we will see how we can help them in the future. Our Thanksgiving luncheon was a big success. We did have a revenue of $1,031 that day. So thank you everyone who joined us, and thank the community who are coming and pick up those meals. We get a lot of calls in comparison to the county that they enjoy our food and don't mind paying for it. So thank you everyone who supports us. Our December meal, however, was not as a big success, but we did fairly well, $384.50. I want to say thank you to Scott as well for taking over the ADA project. He knows quite a bit of the engineering and the logistics on those kind of projects. So I want to say thank you, boss, for taking over and taking the lead on that project. We do have our menu on there for January. We want to, of course, invite all of you counselors, let the public know as well. We try to give our meals as hot as possible and as tasty as possible. So come and join us. we want to hopefully in the future, and hopefully if we open soon to maybe join up with the reading program with the library, and maybe having seniors read with the kids. So we'll be getting together with Sherry and Maria and maybe some events so that we can help those seniors get out there and, you know, get out of this depression from this COVID that we have endured, and hopefully get over that pretty soon. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions, counselors?
Just a comment, Counselor Chairman Martinez. Ms. Terrazas, just thank you to you and your staff for putting those meals out every day. It's an undertaking that's really appreciated by many. And like I've said before, a lot of people do call me and tell me that it's an incredible opportunity for them to get their lunch. And sometimes if the meal's very good, they order two and they get their lunch and their dinner. So it's really, really awesome that you guys are doing that for the community and for the seniors. Like I said before, thank you to the staff. It's amazing that they're able to cross departments, and kudos to the city manager and all the department heads, Mr. Scott and Ms. Sherry at the library and Maria at the Lucero Center. You know, thank you guys for being open-minded to having your employees go out to other departments and make a difference wherever they're at for the day. We certainly appreciate that kind of effort and that kind of collaboration. And you guys just keep doing what you're doing. We're gonna get through this together. One of the things that struck me that Ms. Terraza said was concerning senior citizens reading to children. I love that idea. But what I would really, really love to see senior citizens is entertaining them with stories of our community from old times, stories about los tiempos de antes of this area, about their history, about what Española was like back in their day and things like that. I'd really, really like for our kids to hear a lot about that. So certainly we appreciate everything you guys are doing, and just keep up the good work.
Thank you, Councilor Martinez. Any other comments from any other councilors?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'd just like to thank Dora and her staff. In fact, I recently got a lot of good compliments about the food and the staff, the service as well. So just want to thank you guys for that, as well as, you know, it's been mentioned about our youth. I also think our senior citizens, you know, need support as well, as far as, like, you know, activities to do. Like, you know, prior to COVID, there are plenty of activities that, you know, that were going on. And I know a lot of this is has been put to a stop, as well as a lot of senior citizens. They're a lot of them are home alone. Sometimes they don't have anybody to visit with them, especially now for COVID. So so they may be very lonely. And at the same time, sometimes people are too proud to admit that that they're hurting for food as well, maybe because of money issues or so on. But also at the same time, I would like to say I have full confidence in Dora, just like I do in the rest of our community service directors, that you guys are doing everything you can to be able to help our youth and our seniors to be able to get past this, so we could, you know, after COVID, be able to move on to somewhat semi-normal activities. So I just want to thank you guys as a whole, and you know, always thinking out of the box, and keep up the great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilors.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Valdez, any comments?
Yes, I was just, after listening to everyone, I was wondering, Dora, have we ever considered delivering some food to the seniors that maybe can't drive, or who live alone, or for whatever reason? But I know there's a program called Meals on Wheels. So I don't know if that would be a conflict, or if we, the city, could, you know, just curbside deliver food to some seniors. Give me your thoughts.
We have a few seniors that I know came to the center that we picked up that didn't drive. And I have had a few of those that have called our coordinator, you know, when they are interested in those meals, and she does deliver it to them. We actually don't have the federal funds to actually, you know, put it out there and say that we'll deliver the meals. Our vehicles right now are in pretty bad shape, so we probably wouldn't be able to do that for too long, but it is on our plate, and I do have that on thought with the grants that we have been putting in, and hopefully with some money from the legislature, maybe we can get some new vehicles and push a little bit more for that, because we do have that in mind. We do have quite a list of seniors that would enjoy that.
Okay, good. I hope that comes to be. Thank you, Dora.
Thank you.
Any other questions, counselors? Well, thank you, Dora, and thank you for sending us also the menu. That looks very inviting. I have to say, I have heard also, as the counselors have all mentioned, great reviews of your menu and staff and how well they do and how good the food is. And not to mention a great price for any senior or just even a regular price. So thank you guys so much. Thank you all the staff of the community services. You guys are doing a great job, Mr. Frost. All of you are doing a great job. Please pass that down to all your staffs and let them know that we appreciate every single one of them and everything that they're doing, especially during this tough time. And counselors, this brings us up to our next meeting, which will be on February 16th. Do we have any questions on that at all?
That's fine.
Okay, and with that, we'll adjourn this meeting. You guys all have a great rest of your evening.
Good night.
Good night to all.